Hi, it's Maggie the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your May 2018 general readings. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Welcome to any newcomers. Thank you as always for all your likes, shares, subscribes, your support, feedback, and comments. Keep them coming, always appreciated. And thank you to all of my clients out there, both regular and new clients, for continuing to keep me so occupied and fulfilled with personal one-on-one readings. If any of you are interested in a personal one-on-one reading with me and you haven't read with me before or you've forgotten the information, you can get more information on my contact details by either looking at the description bar of all the videos I post, or you can go to my YouTube channel's homepage and click on the little About button there. I do a wide variety of readings in all areas of life, love and romance, of course, compatibility charting for couples, reconciliation, potential spreads, career, work, and finance readings, channeled messages from passed on loved ones, and I also do 6 and 12-month overviews, which look at the energies and potentials coming into your life in all the main areas of life for the next 6 or 12 months, depending on how far ahead you want to look. So if you're interested, you can email me directly at maggie1mcguire@gmail.com. I would be delighted to work with you. All that information is in the places that I mentioned. Turnaround time for personal readings is usually pretty quick. I do readings full-time, 5 to 6 days a week. It is what I do. So scheduling can be anywhere from a few days upwards of 2 weeks, but almost always within a 2-week period of time we can set up a reading for you live or recorded, and I can almost always get back to you within the same day or the first 24 hours of your initial contact. So if you're interested, send me an email, we'll go from there. And for fast answers to quick, easy, simple questions, you can also find me on the smartphone app Instantgo under Irish Gypsy, and that's also with my contact details. Okay, let's move right into this. This reading is for the Earth sign of Virgo for the month of May 2018. Remember, these are general readings, so of course they're how they resonate and the details and specifics are always going to vary because there's so many of you watching, although the energy and advice always remains the same regardless of what area of your life it manifests in. So if you know your rising and your moon signs, watch those videos as well for additional clarification. Sometimes they play out a little more predictably for you than your primary sun sign. Okay, Virgo, let's see what May 2018 has in store for you. Okay, Virgo, we begin with the 9 of Swords, followed by the 10 of Cups. Too much anxiety and stress with that 9 of Swords, Virgo. We have the 9 of Pentacles, followed by the High Priestess. We have the King of Cups, followed by the Fool. And we have the 6 of Cups, followed by the Ace of Swords. And from the bottom of the deck, your overall energy and guidance is the World. Okay. So when I'm looking at your elemental energy, the elements which govern the suit of each card that comes out, you have 3 major arcana cards, so that's pretty significant, profound energies and potentials for changes and life shifts. It does look like something is coming to an end, which means there's a new beginning attached to it too, for you or someone close to you in home and family. But there's 3 cups, a couple of swords, and of Pentacles. So it looks like there's a lot more just emotional energy and thoughts going around, because Cups is water, which is emotional energy, feelings, relationships, and Swords is our thoughts and belief systems and ideas and how that affects the way that we communicate our words and our ideas. One Pentacles card, which is Earth energy, which typically relates to earthly, practical, concrete things like money, finances, property, job, real estate, resources, etc. And then major arcana cards. So more emotional energy and thoughts going around. So it looks like, Virgo, that there is a pretty significant chapter of your life ending, which means that there's a new beginning too, because new beginnings are always attached to endings. Endings, you know, precede beginnings. Birth follows death. That's just the way it works. But there's a lot of stress and anxiety involved in this, whether it's for you or someone close to you, in regards to what this ending is and what it actually means for you. Because we begin around the beginning of May, time being fluid, of course. I am recording these at the end of the last week the last few days of April, we have the Nine of Swords and the Ten of Cups. So the Nine of Swords, swords is that air energy, so it's about our thoughts and ideas and perceptions and belief systems, higher education, truth, enlightenment, cerebral, mental, intellectual energy, everything that goes on up in our heads, and how that affects the way that we see things, the world, people, and how we communicate our words and our ideas. The Nine of Swords is a card of a lot of stress, anxiety, worry, a lot, because in the tarot we begin with the Ace at number 1, and tens represent completion, cycles ending, or something coming to a culmination point, so it transitions into something else. So the Nine of Swords, this is a card of stress, anxiety, worry, fear, doubt, too much so. And it's usually mostly illusionary, meaning that, you know, the source of whatever your stress and fears and doubts are might be valid or understandable, but the Nine of Swords usually comes up when you've built something up in your head to be far bigger and worse than it actually is, and it's usually about something in the future which hasn't happened yet. Like you're worried about what's going to happen if this happens, or what's going to happen if this doesn't happen. You know, and again, it's way too much energy and focus on what may or may not happen, which you have very little, if any, control over in a situation, particularly if it involves somebody else, which is what this woman is doing. You know, the moon has risen high in the sky, so it's probably, you know, quite late, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, everybody else is asleep, but she's not, because she's completely focused on whatever the source of her stress, anxiety, fear, worry, doubt is, as symbolized by these swords, which can represent a lot of different thoughts and ideas which are causing the worry, or one overwhelming kind of belief system or perspective which is causing the worry. The little owl here sitting on the windowsill, everything in a tarot card is symbolic. Owls are one of those universal symbols for wisdom, knowledge, truth, enlightenment, clarity, and answer or solution. She's not looking at the owl. She's probably not even seeing it, even though it's right there. It's close enough for her to reach out and touch, because she's only focused on the source of her stress, doubt, anxiety. So too much pull back on some of that, Virgo. It looks like you're dwelling too much on fear of on the fear of whatever your doubt and concern is, which is usually about something in the future which hasn't happened yet. You know, it's bigger and worse in your head than the actual reality of the situation is. It's kind of like, you know, the boogeyman under the bed, which turns out to be nothing more than a dust bunny or a chewed up old slipper the dog forgot, you know, something like that. Now it's clarified by the Ten of Cups. So here we have a card of completion, because we're at a 10 here. And your overall energy and advice, your crowning card is the World, which represents major completion or major chapter ending. So there's cycles ending or a culmination point here with the Ten of Cups. Now Cups is water, it's emotional, feeling, energy, relationships. And the Ten of Cups in the upright typically implies, it's often nicknamed the happily ever after card or the happy home card. It represents, particularly in connection to home and family, feeling like everything's finally in its place. You couldn't ask for anything else. You're at a point of fulfillment and contentment, particularly around home and family. It can represent, but because it's a 10, it represents that there's an ending of something and a new beginning attached to that. Something has culminated. It can represent maybe the last child leaving the nest, or a child leaving the nest, or you know, marriage, children, blessings, childbirth. You know, there's something in connection to your home and family life, and the details, of course, are always going to vary in a general reading, but the energy remains the same. There's something coming to an end, a culmination point in connection to home and family. For some of you, it might be a child leaving the nest to go to college, or go off on their own, or you know, getting married. It could be you doing that. It could be getting into your first home, leaving your first home. It could be about the actual physical dwelling of the house itself. It could be about, you know, childbirth, or, you know, something new being added to the family in that sense. Again, it's difficult to tell. Sometimes in general readings that can be quite tricky, because you're reading for so many people. But there's a chapter ending, a culmination point, which means there's a new beginning ahead. And for some reason, Virgo, you have a lot of stress and anxiety and worry about this. It could be the change is you yourself. You could be leaving something, or even getting into something. It could even be getting into your first home, or selling your first home, or, you know, adding a child or something of that sort. You may be really stressed, worried, and concerned about if it's you. Are you able to do this? Do you have the resources to kind of go out there or do whatever it is you're doing, you're going into? If it's somebody close to you that's you know, within the family, that may be the one, you know, going out in a new start in some way, whether it's just leaving home or going to college or getting married or having a child or something of that sort. You're worried about whether or not it's going to work out for them. Too much stress and worry. It's not necessary here, and it's not really reflected in the actual reality of whatever the situation is, because all of your cards look quite good, quite beautiful. So ending, culmination, stressed out about how this is going to play out in the future. So next to that we have the Nine of Pentacles and the High Priestess. So the Nine of Pentacles, here's Earth energy here. This is a card of independence, self-reliance, self-sufficiency, enjoying the fruits of your labors because you've worked long and hard, as this woman has, to build up all this. What these pentacles represent, a sense of prosperity and abundance, whether in actual dollars and cents or being at a place in life where you're just enjoying who you are, the path you're on, the life you're leading. You've worked hard to get there and nobody's handed anything to you on a silver platter. Independence, self-sufficiency, reliability, being self-reliant, and really the kind of confidence that comes from knowing that you've created all of these things that you're now enjoying. You've worked hard for them. Now it's clarified by the High Priestess, which is a card about fundamentally about trusting your own intuitions, instinct, gut instincts, higher self. Some people call it a different thing. Your intuition, your intuitive sense is the cable, the conduit, if you will, by which it's our connection to God, Spirit, your angels and guides, by which we get feelings of, you know, our intuition, flashes of insight, which may seem to be random but aren't, you know, maybe kind of a deep desire to go one way versus another, or make one decision over another. Paying attention to your dreams, ideas which seem to come out of nowhere. The High Priestess observes all. She's deeply connected to her source of spirituality, and she allows that to guide her because she trusts in it, because she's so reliant on it. She watches and observes things. She doesn't talk too much, but when she does, it's usually profound because it comes from this place of being very connected on an intuitive and spiritual level. Pay attention to, so over the month of May, pay attention to your intuition, dreams, ideas, flashes of insight. That Nine of Swords, that stress, anxiety is fueled by circular thoughts and feelings of fear and doubt. Intuition is deeper than that. It's very spiritually connective and intuitive sense. Now, for some of you, if you're the one kind of ending something and going into something new, you yourself, it could be that you're worried about if you have the ability, the resources, the capabilities of going into this and still being okay. Some of you may be doing something new or transitioning into something new, even retiring or something of that sort, or something to do with home or property, or anything like that, really. Maybe going to college, or a child doing it, and wondering if it in any way threatens, you know, everything that you've worked so hard to build up. You know, if this is a financial issue in connection with home and family, you know, do you have enough? Have you built up enough to be able to afford to go into this new beginning and keep it going? Is it going to be risky with everything that you've worked hard and saved for? And if it's somebody, and if it's not you yourself that are going into something new, transitioning into something new, then this fear and source and worry can be about the person who's doing it. Maybe it's a partner or a young person or adult child or another family member, or something to do you know, with a decision about the home itself. Could be retirement. You're worried if they have the same, you know, do they have enough? Do they have enough resources? Are they going to be able to do it and still maintain a sense of independence and self-sufficiency and self-reliance? Is the path that we're taking or they're taking going to create this or maintain this? Or am I going to lose everything by doing this? Are they going to lose everything by doing this? There's this lot, just stress and anxiety, these circular thoughts. And it's not, I don't feel like the majority of it is reality-based, Virgo. It's just coming from this place of fear. And if it's you, and also if it's somebody else, there's also this kind of undercurrent underneath all of that other fear. What does it mean for you? If it's retirement or someone moving out or starting something new, then perhaps your involvement in it up until that ends. So what else do you do now? What do you look, what do you start out on now? What does this mean for you? How do you have a new beginning as well? If it involves you directly, it's about trusting your intuition, allowing that to guide you and feeding that, rather than, you know, constantly thinking about the negative aspects of it, or the potential, you know, what could go wrong, what might go wrong. And if it's somebody else, it's about actually trusting in their intuitive sense, because it looks like whatever they or you are doing is meant to be something that leads to a path or maintains a path of success and abundance and self-reliance and independence. So pay attention to that, and allow your intuition to guide you, or allow somebody else's intuition to guide them as well. So next to that, we have the King of Cups and the Fool. So the King of Cups could represent another individual who's significant in this situation. It could be a husband or a wife. I mean, it's a king, but it doesn't necessarily have to be male. It could be an adult child. It could be somebody else within the family system. Or it could just be what you need to do as guidance on an energetic level. The King of Cups is also called the King of Cool, because cups is water, it's emotions, feelings, relationship. And kings and queens have reached the master of their suit, meaning that they've grown and matured and evolved beyond the young, immature imagery of the page and the spontaneous, impulsive energy of the knights, and they have mastered and have balanced the character traits inherent to their suit. So the King of Cups is very emotionally stable, grounded, sometimes called the King of Cool, because even when other people around him are losing their heads, or something may be going on that's kind of chaotic, he's able to kind of keep his cool, be calm and rational. He's emotionally nurturing and supportive, but he doesn't allow his emotions to completely drive him. Very grounded, always knows the right thing to say. So this could be another person in the situation significant to you, Virgo, or it could also be on an advice level, the energy, the fundamental energy of the King of Cups that you need to be manifesting more of. This emotional stability, which is a good balancer to that Nine of Swords. This is too much anxiety, worry. It's not even called for. It's not necessary. It's not, the majority of it isn't reality bound. It's fear of a future, or fear of things which haven't even played out yet. The King of Cups is more emotionally stable and rational that way. Now that's clarified by the Fool, which is a major arcana card, one of my favorites. He's just starting out. It's the first major arcana card in the deck, so he's at the 0. And your overall energy is, from the bottom of the deck, your crowning energy and guidance is the World, which is the end. So in the tarot, we begin with the Fool, and we end with the World being on top of the World, another card of major endings and accomplishments. The Fool is just starting out, and all the cards in between are about the Fool's journey, which means our journey through life, growing up, maturing, evolving on all the things that we learn on the path of life. He's often about taking risks, doing something you've never done before, something that may be seen as risky. He's about stepping off the well-beaten path, because sometimes, often extraordinary results come from extraordinary efforts or decisions. And the Fool reminds us too that it's always good to set goals, and have a destination and plan for that and work to achieve that. But the Fool reminds us that what's really important is the journey and the destination. I mean, this reading could be almost a classic textbook reading for somebody who's going out on their own, or somebody who has a child leaving home for the first time to go out on their own, or go to college, or get married, or something of that sort. It's about starting out, starting new, and it's in the upright position. It's a beautifully positive card. It's a card about having that almost childlike faith and confidence that you're starting off on the, you're going off on a new path, and you're really excited about it, because there is that. There's like this energy over here about something has ended. There's a chapter that's closed. I'm worried and scared about it for myself and or someone else. Do I have what it takes? Do they have what it takes? Is this going to be too risky? I have a lot of fears about the future. But it's really about trusting in your intuition, or allowing somebody else the freedom to trust in their intuition, because there's a new start, a new beginning, a new chapter for everybody. The fact that you're connected to it means that it's going to be a new start for you too. If it's somebody else who's going off, then of course your investment and involvement with them is transitioning too. So what else is new in store for you down the road? Now at or towards the end of May 2018, we have the Six of Cups and the Ace of Swords. So the Six of Cups is a card primarily associated with the past, nostalgia, reminiscence, looking back. It can represent family, roots of origin, where you grew up, heritage, and let me turn this off. Something's going off over here. And sometimes it can represent travel back in connection to that too. So it could be travel to see parents, home, family, where you grew up. It can represent looking back at something through rose-colored glasses, the way that you did when you were children, giving and receiving in a very open sort of way, in the way that only children kind of do. So it's a card connected to the past. And it's paired and home and family as well. And it's clarified by the Ace of Swords. So swords is that air energy, ideas, perspectives, belief systems. The ace represents the number one, the start of something new, a new beginning, which has a lot of potential and promise if it's followed through with. So this could be new ideas, a fresh new perspective, a different way of looking at something, kind of like an epiphany, the light bulb going off over your head, an entirely new idea, or just a new perspective and a new way of looking at something, stepping back and looking at it in a different way, in connection to the past or home, family. So, and your overall energy, the focus of this over May 2018 is the World, which is a card of ending. It's the last card in the tarot deck. You know, this long, significant journey you've been on, finally reaching the top of the mountain, being on top of the world, and pausing for a moment to take a look at it, recognize your accomplishments, all the efforts that went into something. It's a beautifully positive card, and taking a moment also to look forward and opening yourself up to the promise and potential of what may lay ahead, and considering what that might be. So again, recap. Endings and beginnings, which is always what's going on. There's an ending which maybe has you, or a chapter ending, or some kind of transition point where some part of your portion of your life is at an end, or at least in an end in the way that it has been. And there's new beginnings ahead for you, potentially for other people. The connection is with home and family. You have some fears about that, but try not to dwell too much on those, because there's too much energy in it. It's not reality based. Trust your instincts and intuitions, and allow other people to do the same on their own path. There's a brand new beginning in front of you and potentially other people, or for your family as a whole. It looks beautiful and full of promise. Stay emotionally grounded. Do not allow your fear and doubt and insecurity to drive you and keep you up at night. And I think by the end of May 2018, you're going to have a new perspective both on what the situation is and what the future may look like playing out too for you and your home and family as well. Whatever this chapter ending is, it represents a pretty big accomplishment. It took a lot to get to the top of the mountain, the top of this world. So it's a pretty big, positive, major accomplishment, and it's time to walk ahead into the future. Beautiful reading, Virgo. So Virgo, that pretty much sums up your May 2018 general reading. I hope that you found it useful. Maybe it brought you some new ideas or validation on something you've already been thinking and feeling. Again, cut back on the stress and worry. Focus on the positive and the potential instead, because it's right there in front of you. And I think you're going to be just fine. Thank you for watching it. And again, if any of you are interested in a more personal, tailored just for you one-on-one reading, you can get more information in my contact details by looking at the description bar of all the videos I post, or you can go to my YouTube channel's homepage, click on that little About button. feel free to email me directly at Maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. I would be most happy to work with you and set up a reading with you as quickly as possible. And for fast answers to those quick, easy questions, you can also find me on the smartphone app Instantgo under Irish Gypsy. So I will see you all again, Virgo, in a couple of weeks for the May 2018 mid-month readings. And until then, as always, I wish you joy, peace, blessings, and a happy life. Take care, and I hope to see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.